So hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Paolo here. The video I'm going to make now is about something a little unusual, You know that I have also videos about my trucks, the other branch I like so much in static models. And so this time the model of this video will be that guy. It is the old AMT trailer named Lowboy. Is a drop deck low bed trailer. Is a trailer, for a truck in original intention. It is in 125 scale usually, if we find it somewhere. Yep, 125 scale. A very old model that I had the opportunity to find for a bargain price, because sometimes I search for them with the idea of making them becoming a kind of diorama, because if you think about that, the trailer, this type of trailer, this low bed, it's already a little diorama itself. It's like a base of something that have to be loaded over him. And in this particular edition, I will make it loading a Caterpillar a D8H, even from AMT. I have the Rebox issue from Matchbox, I guess. It's an already started model. That also there I found like a bargain item, because it was already started, badly started, of course. But I neither didn't know at the time that there exists a Caterpillar in 125 scale that is more or less similar to the 124 of the trucks that I do trailing these models, and that my intention should be to use this one like the trailer for the OM 180 that already have in the front of the truck the label heavy loader, trasporto eccezionale in Italiano. It is the Italian definition of such kind of loaders, and I think it can be possible to imagine something like that, because this low boy trailer probably was something used around the 50s and the 60s in America, and it can be part of the Marshall Plan. Marshall, it was named Marshall Plan. It was a plan that they made after the Second World War to help the rebuilding of some countries like Italy when they started to be under the protection, in brackets, about coming from the United States. So they provided to Italy a lot of used vehicle and equipments, mostly from the army, And so I was thinking that maybe in this arrival from the United States of the items, it could be possible that around the 60s, early 70s, still somebody was working with these lowboy trailers, And also because in the original picture of the AMT, they make it pulled from something American. Look like I don't know so much about American vehicles, but that look like the back of maybe a Mac. I have no idea. But it's interesting anyway, because as I said, it is like already a base for a quite big diorama. The modeling of trucks is interesting, even more when you do special items, stuff that is not so around on the market and maybe connected to the history of the place, of the country you are living. So that's why my Italian subjects like the Fiat 170 that I also made in resin, and the OM 180, and before the Fiat 697 and my 682 and the upcoming 690 that I'm going to build, they were so interesting because they were part of the history of the country, and they became incredibly nicer when they pull something special. I already did this with the Fiat 697 that it was pulling. Maybe I can make it a quick turn around. Take a look at my shit there. So that is the Fiat 697. Look how it became. Of course, my real stuff is the racing cars below him, but you see the dimension of the truck became impressive because we are talking of up to 70 centimeters, so it's very, very big. They require a quite steady wood base, and I made also a micro diorama, with a little earth, with little grass on the ground, something coming from the military technique. And also this was interesting because it come from the documentary of the Fiat of the 70s. Maybe I can make another video about him, of the complete model. Despite it's quite difficult to move it from the showcase because it's very heavy and it's very big, so it's a while to make the mage moving them. That's why I usually never bring them to contest and so on. But you see how different it became from this angle. Ecco, you can see much better from this angle how much nicer it became with the proper trailer. Became much more a complete object. Became much more interesting in 1/24 scale. They are quite huge, with a little weathering, a little rust and so on. So it's something that is quite special, So the same becomes here, talking about this lowboy trailer. And what I did basically was to save the model already started by a previous model. Some wheels were missing, and when they are missing, it's quite complicated because AMT didn't really provide quality wheels. They were the old-fashioned style rubber tires. And in my model also a couple of them were missing, and you see that an internal one is that, and another one I think is a couple of that one that I saved from another AMT box. I always change these kind of tires from the models, because usually when they are just the trailer they are quite exposed, and you can see them at once when they are not so well done, as well as the you see that I don't know if it was a real Trilex, that they provide inside the box, but it was anyway not the modern stuff made in steel. It was the iron, the ugly iron steel rim from the 60s. The suspension is that one, also that is quite okay. I just assembled that in a temporary way, so this is absolutely not fixed, of course, because then it became impossible to paint them, but it's just for the purpose of the dimension and the pulling point under here, that always have to be compared to the truck you are making, because sometimes it can be lower, can be higher, too high, and so on. And of course these rear suspension are not workable. I think in that other one that you see just before, the 697, they were workable. Instead in this one they are absolutely not, so I didn't place any spring inside because I don't like this toyish look, so I just wanted to provide a proper look with the proper trailer in the front. And so I made the dimension and I fixed the suspension in a way that they are steady in the pulled position. Surely I don't know if the real lowboy had it, also because I think that in America they already changed this millions of times. Probably they are still around somewhere, but the real lowboy I don't see so often, also because the vehicles to be pulled became much more heavier, much more big stuff, so this is not so recent stuff. Also the Revel made I think even in 1/25 scale quite a newer vehicle of trailer like this one, quite rare, but you can find still around for good prices also if you apply for it. And it was much more modern, it looked much more like the European trailers, instead this was really the American one. I wanted to add some details, because in my idea was, like for the real stuff that very often we see in Italy, I'm talking of the Caterpillar, for example, the Caterpillar should be updated as much as you want. They made the roof, they made something like homemade modification to working stuff that is absolutely believable, because they were not ordnance vehicle, they were not military stuff, so it was possible that the guy that arrived having the item after 3-4 hands, he start to make his own modification. And I think it should be the same situation for this trailer, and indeed I just increased some details, and I want to do even more, because I'm downloading a lot of pictures of the guys that are already making in Facebook pages and websites, the modification to the lowboy to make something like I'm planning to do, so as I said, I want to place there in front the trailer that is the OM 180, the blue truck, the 6x2 vehicle from OM, Fiat 180, the same truck, and this like a trailer, but with some improvements that can be possible, because for example, the original EMT box didn't provide the ramps to carry up something up there, so probably the meaning was that they were hidden somewhere. I don't know how the lowboy works, but I don't see any opening on the side, so I don't think that there is something that so easy to understand for me, at least, you know. As I say, they just look at them from a modeling point of view. I'm not an expert about trailers and about the specification of these vehicles, you know. And so the idea was to build up something. This was part of the sorry, mate. This was part of the trailer that I didn't want to use. It was a kind of plastic, you see, with a kind of I don't know what, it seems like a kind of a net detail printed over, you know. Quite bad, you know, very, very thick place, you know, as typical from this old AMT. And anyway, I took the dimension to create something like this. If you see this trailer, sometimes they have a ramp like this that is already much more believable than the idea that every time they use this stuff to carry items, they had to wait the caterpillar to crawl over this part, destroying all the part of the trailer. So I don't understand how did it work, honestly, and I don't think neither. I don't know if this was a trailer that they took it completely away, the suspension, to make it completely low, and then they place it over the stuff to be pulled, and then they lift it up again. I don't know about this stuff, but my idea, it would be anyway to recreate a little forward in time, because this is just a beginner video, you know, something like temporary assembly and build up. Also because in my original box, all the plastics, quite wide plastic, we are talking of stuff that is up to, I think it's nearly 50 centimeters, you know, let me check. So the scale down there is in centimeters. It's already 42 this way with all the stuff. Yeah, I think we are over 50 centimeters of the trailer, you see. And the plastics were completely wrinkled in my model, so they were bent, and it was painful to fix them. It was quite complicated because they provide you some bones, you know, to place under the trailer to make it steady. And so yeah, to assemble little by little, respecting more or less the very, very easy. They have a nearly fun instruction sheet inside, but it's okay, you know, you have to figure it out that is a model probably of my age, so I think something coming from United States from the, I guess the 70s maybe. There is no date over that, there is just Troy, Michigan, and yeah, made in the USA. No, they don't place the date of the trailer, you know. But you see that it's quite old stuff and lacking a lot in details and so on. In the lack of details, you can also see that inside they place a wooden part, you know, that is this one. It's not so badly done, despite it is not engraved. It is something. It's not engraved at all. You see, it's just a detail. It seems like drawing over, you know. I don't know if you can see properly under the light, but they are not so believable. So I just kept this detail. It's a little tricky to move, you know, because it's very huge stuff. I just kept this side in that material. Also because will be the part where the main body of the caterpillar will sit. So the caterpillar will be placed here. I have to study still again about the position, because usually they load them up pointing with the blade in the front, so the blade will be placed in this position. But in other pictures, mostly of models, you know, I didn't see the real stuff and so on, they placed that reversed, so I have to study a little, you know, how it can become. In the original lowboy also they didn't provide anything covering the wheels. Instead, if you see the modern trailers, you know, everybody provides something that protecting at least the tire, you know. I imagined something like this, custom made by some of the owners of this stuff, with a little wood just protecting the tire. Also because this was a trick, this is a trick that I will use, because the detail of the wheels, as you can see, the old AMT don't have a nice detail between the two wheels, so you can see that ugly side of plastic. Okay, it will be painted in black, but I think that it will be, if this side will be exposed from the top, you will clearly see that there is something not matching, you know. And I'm not just talking about the wrong tire inner there hide, just to give the presence, you know, not the detail of a real tire. But you see that the wheels are absolutely not so nice at all, and this will be a big minus in a finished model, you know. So I prefer to cover it, and I made this with real wood coming from the ship details, you know. I think I have somewhere here a spare of it if I didn't trash it. It's anyway something like this stuff. You see, it is the typical materials listers that you use to build up vessels and galleons. It's very useful to use because they are anyway real wood, so they react to modeling materials and treatment exactly like the real wood does. And I also placed it in a point that will be much more visible instead of this one where, as I say, the caterpillar will sit over. This is a metal part that is believable because this was completely still protecting all the suspension points where they fixed the under suspensions for the trailer. But this side, it have been made completely in real wood. I also place the bolts inside, you know, to make it believable, and one is missing of course and fixed in a temporary way just to cover it instead of falling, and that will be also open in this side. This for two main reasons. The first of all was that I don't believe that to place this part here and cover it completely close it this way will give more detail or not, you know, so I think that this part can be taken away. There is a quite believable basic details here about the frame under, and mostly from this side when the truck will be, when the loader will be in position, you can absolutely still see the part of the mechanic of the 180, because with this over, all the rear side of the mechanical of the 180s that I made with cable and wire and air ducts will be not visible at all. So with this stuff nearly open, it will be possible at least to see part of it, you know, to see at least the light. And then I have to plan about something like cables, like something maybe like an extra loader curtain around here to make something believable, you know, when they loaded the stuff. So it should be something really used, really destroyed, as well as I think to improve surely a little the side details of this part, you know, probably taking another, at least the rivets or at least the reinforcement coming from the bones of the underline of the trailer, you know. So it is just a very basic assembly, giving the shape, giving the position, and planning on how to do after this start, you know. So it's just to show up how in my opinion it can be improved, you know, as well as the rear part will be then something like this, like many trailer had for the ramps and so on, with chains to give much more realism and place a lot of extra garbage and shit around the model. So we will see about that. And I think it's extremely interesting, you know, because it's something way cool, way different, and every time that I can. Now I just made the competition with all my trucks, with the trailers, I mean, the tractor, we used to call them in Italian, and they are done, so they took the best prices I could expect from them, so their career in the competition is nearly done for them. So the second life that I give to my models is usually to place a believable loader that have to be in the same line of the trailer, you know. So if the trailer is something coming from the 60s, 70s, also the loader should be from 60s and 70s. I will never place a loader with a modern tanker behind, with a modern frigo behind. I know that sometimes in many places of the world there is still very old trucks pulling very new trailers, but this is not something that I like, so I prefer to make it in my own way, just as I plan to create a very cool diorama. Also because the step after this will be just the preparation of this basic overall look, and then plan something for the main guy, for the caterpillar over there should be really the point where the eye-catching point, where somebody looks at the model, they look at them, and will be something really exciting, quite long I suspect to build up, because the scale is very big and the model is extremely poor of detail. It's just a basic stuff. AMT model were not so bad, you know. I'm not talking bad of the company, it's something that I really love. I build them up, many of them, but they lack of detail, you know. The detail of the models is coming really from the 60s and the 70s, so you cannot expect so much. They are really on the range of Matchbox, Airfix, and something like that. So it needs improvement, but the fantasy about this civilian stuff, once again, not a military ordinance or something that have been used by the military, that have special regulamentations and directive to improve and to touch. This is civilian stuff, so I think you can absolutely do whatever you want. So the space for your own fantasy is absolutely bigger than in a military subject. So that's it, guys. I hope you like the video, and see you in the next one.